first slide. So coming to the first slide. So what is research? Research is all about creating new knowledge by using the existing knowledge. You know, there are like thousands of journals. There are like thousands of universities all across the world, very reputed and high class top universities in the world. All of them, they are contributing some knowledge. They are creating some knowledge. Now there is a mechanism that today they have different journals. They have different publishing agencies, world reputed agencies, and there are rankings of all these journals. Those journals who are highly reputed, they have the high impact factor. They have greater readability, and so they get more citations as compared to those who are just developing in the developing phase. They have lesser readership. So the high impact journals, the high class, the highest class, the top class publishing companies, they always get a very good readership. So the top class researchers and the scientists, they always try to contribute into the high class research journals. So now this research is all about creating new knowledge by using the existing knowledge, by contributing something new in the field. So I'm talking about the academic research, the international parameters of the research, that how actually it is defined, how the research is defined. It is all defined by the novelty. If you are contributing something new, then it means that you are actually doing some research because you are contributing something new in the existing knowledge of that particular field. And the backbone of research, the backbone of productivity, the backbone of the industrial integration of your research is actually the literature review. If you have performed an excellent literature review, if you have read many top class research papers in your career, it means you understand the current dynamics of that particular field in a very excellent way. And ultimately you will be finding greater opportunities. You will finding the greater challenges in the existing knowledge, and only then you will be able to contribute new into the field. So understanding the current state of the knowledge is very, very important. It is actually the backbone of the entire your research degree, your thesis. It is actually the backbone, and that is the reason that I shall be starting with the literature review, that how to conduct the efficient literature review. So the problem is that when we do our BS, or when we do our MS, we complete our degrees, and now we are told to do our MPhil or MS, and we complete our coursework, but we do not know how to proceed further. What is the next step? What is the next step that we have to cross? And we are told that you have to come up with a research proposal, but where that research proposal will come from? Because it requires an extensive research and extensive study of the existing knowledge. So I shall be telling you where to start and how to start. So literature review is all about knowing the current state of the knowledge in that particular field, identifying the prevailing problems and challenges, and finding opportunities to contribute something new to solve those problems. You know, as I told you earlier, that thousands of research groups are all across the world, thousands of researchers and scientists in top class universities. They are all contributing to the new knowledge. They are all creating new knowledge simultaneously while you are doing in your own labs. And all the researchers, all the scientists in the world, they are always sharing their knowledge across the globe. And their knowledge that they share, it is just one click away. We just go to Google or go to the Google Scholar, and we can find out what are the current contributions of those scientists. And we read them, we understand the current state of knowledge, we understand what are the loopholes, what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths, what is something new, what are the challenges. Because you know, today that we are living in a technological and a satellite age, and we have seen such a remarkable state of the art technology that is in our hands, in our pockets, that was not built over one night. It took several centuries, it took several decades, and ultimately various scientists from all across the world, they were giving their contributions, then they were sharing their knowledge across the globe, and then there were readers and the students like me and you who were reading those papers, and then we were adding into those papers with our contributions. So that is how we will creating novelty, we will adding to the knowledge, and all across the globe, ultimately here we are in the technological age. So it is literature review is all about understanding the current state of the knowledge in the field, identifying what are the existing problems and challenges, and then picking up one particular loop, उसका कोई एक नुक्ता आपने पकड़ना है और आपने उसको फिर आगे स्टडी करने लग जाना है, and finding opportunities to contribute something new to solve those existing problems for the new inventions. So an efficient literature review is the backbone of great research outcomes, of great research proposals. So coming straight to the point, let me go to the Google Scholar. Here, I hope you can see the Google Scholar website on your screens. Now, where to start the research? For example, I just completed my BS degree, and I was enrolled into my MS, into my MPhil program. I have completed my research, completed my coursework. Now I am told by my supervisor, my professors, to come up with the research proposal, that what I want to do, what you want to do in your research in this 1 year of study, or even if you are a PhD student, what will be your research proposal? What you will be doing in your studies? Now we are stuck. Now listen, each and every one of you has already something in your mind, your natural tendency, your natural liking. If you are a biotechnology student or a physics or a chemistry student, you already have a natural bias to a certain particular field. For example, I can say that, for example, I'm some student of MSR, PhD, and I already know from my colleagues, from my students, from my teachers, from my professors, that bone tissue engineering is a very good field. I'm just saying, for example. So what I will do, I will use Google Scholar. And first of all, I will put this word bone tissue engineering into Google Scholar. Now, Google Scholar is actually a part of the research engine. It is a portion of a research engine that deals with the scholarly research papers and books and all the literature, you know, like Google Images and Google News and Google Videos. So this is scholar.google.com. I hope all of you are aware of this page. So what you see over here on the left side, if you can see my cursor, there's a timeline anytime since 2022, since 2021, since 2018, and then there is a custom range in which you can choose the range of the duration of that literature that you want to explore. Then there is a key, the tab of sort by relevance, sort by date. You can include patents if you want. So what I see, at the top, I'm seeing a Springer paper. It's a company, a current molecular journal, 2015. I can see that there's a 206 citations. Then in the next paper, I can see this paper was cited by 2040 people. The next third paper is cited by 2027 people. So I'm looking at any time. So the first thing that you have to keep in your mind is that since now this Google Scholar, if you look at this, it is showing me 19 lakhs 19,000 40,000 results ये मुझे show कर रहा है, and of course I don't have time to read all of these papers. So I want to find some remarkable, some outstanding literature that will not be wasting my time. I want some pearls of wisdom that I really don't want to waste, and I want to read them. So I shall be focusing on the citations. This is my first key. I should be focusing on citations. Now, there are two types of parameters that we always see when we are searching on Google Scholar. One is the citation index. And of course, when we see that, for example, this paper has been cited by 2040 people, 2040 लोगों ने इसको cite किया है, it means that at least 2040 people have read it, they have understood it, and they have included the findings in this research paper into their research paper. So it means this paper is something very important. It is an old one. It was published in 2020. So it is an old paper. It means, and that was the time when bone tissue engineering was actually developing in a developing field. So it means that this paper must be dealing with the fundamental science of this particular research area. So I must be downloading this paper and studying it and reading it. The next one is 2027 and 411 citations, 2,188 citations, 1,286 citations. So this is a random search. So first of all, I shall be picking those papers who have very good citations, because those papers, and those will be relatively older papers, and those will be dealing with most probably the fundamental science, the fundamental knowledge, the basics of that particular field in that research area. Then, but I don't want to just understand the fundamentals. I also want to be updated with the modern knowledge, the current knowledge. I will be choosing since 2018. I will be clicking on since 2018, and then again I will be picking the most cited papers. Like this one is cited by 341, 288, 96, and blah blah. So again, I should be using the citations. Then I want to further narrow down. I want to see the most recent contributions. I should be clicking on since 2021. Again, I will see 96, 54 citations, and there is a long list, and you can just scroll down to some further pages and you will see that you could be finding some nice papers. Then I want to see the most recent ones since 2022, from January to this stage of the last 7 months. So here you will be finding some papers, and here are actually 21,600 results that I saw for this research topic since January 2022. And again, and you can see that as I'm getting closer to the most recent papers, I actually the number of citations getting decreased. There are a lower number of citations because these are the most recent papers. So this is a way to find. This is one way to start that particular field. So, but again, to understand the current dynamics, the current state of knowledge in this field, I want to find some papers who actually include all the relevant information in that particular field. And we call such papers as the review articles. We call them review articles. All I have to do is just put a word review. Put a word review. Review bone tissue engineering. And now I click the search again for any time. I will look at any time. I will see. But since I want to stay updated with the entire development in the entire times over the decades, the entire development, the recent development, so I should be most likely narrowing down my research to since 2021. Since 2021, and I shall be finding some review articles. Now, you have to find papers with some word review. If you look at this, this article is critical review of biodegradable bioactive polymer composites, blah blah. Then you also find some other articles over here, a comprehensive review on the preparation and application of calcium hydroxyapatite. Similarly, you will find some other reviews like this is the one, design of 3D printed scaffolds for bone tissue engineering, a review. So review articles actually give you an overview of the entire developments that have been taking place since the inception of this field, since the beginning of the field to the modern day, to the modern age. So this is a very beginning for those students who have absolutely no idea what they are going to do. This is a very good starting point. You can further make it more recent by clicking on since 2022, and now again, like this is a paper, the role of rare earth elements in bone tissue engineering scaffolds. It's a review article. This is another review article, polymer metal composites, 3D porous. So then bone tissue engineering, this is also a review article. So what you have to do is, considering your own natural bias, that what is your natural tendency, आपके ज़हन में क्या चल रहा है, आपका किस चीज का शौक है, कुछ ना कुछ आपके दिमाग में already होगा. You will be having some natural bias toward the particular field. Type those words in the Google Scholar, add the word review, and try to download like 5 to 10 research papers, these review articles, and start reading them. Start from the most recent ones, and again you can sort them out by the citations. Prefer those articles who have been cited much, who have greater citations. And the other thing is, always try to read the articles from the high impact journals. You know, impact factor is a parameter that actually describes the readership, the popularity of a particular journal. So if there's some journal XYZ, particularly like you know, there are big publishing giants like ACS, American Chemical Society, there is another giant, the Royal Society of Chemistry. There is another giant, Institute of Physics or American Institute of Physics. These are the big giants in the publication industry, the publishing industry. So their journals are mostly high impact, and they always attract very good citations. And only the pioneers of the particular field, only the state of the art and the very high impact research is published by these top journals. So you should, as I told you, that Google Scholar is an ocean of knowledge, and you have only to find the pearls of wisdom from this ocean. So always try to download, to read the most relevant and high impact and highly cited papers, instead of wasting time on the junk articles, the low impact articles have no worth. So while you are creating a list, while you are creating a library of the articles, always consider the citations, and then the impact factor. So, for example, for your MS, for your MPhil, or for your PhD, you have downloaded 10 review articles. After reading 5 to 10 review articles, I think 5 to 10 review articles are more than sufficient. That will actually build your mental profile. It will eliminate all the confusions. It will bring you to a track. Initially, before reading a review article, you are in a vague situation. You have absolutely no idea what you have to do. You are not clear in your mind that these 5 to 10 review articles will give you a narrow field. After reading 5 to 10 review articles, now you will be in a position to determine within yourself that how do you want to narrow down your research. So, for example, after reading 5 to 10 review articles, you finally decide that that polymeric scaffolds for tissue engineering, polymeric scaffolds for tissue engineering is the field that hits your mind, that you think it has an opportunity in the future. It has a technological and industrial application. This is very fascinating. This is understanding. You understand the fundamental science. You really find it very interesting and catchy. So you have made up your mind after reading the review articles that yes, now I want to pursue my research in the polymeric scaffolds. But again, polymeric scaffolds is again a big field. It is a vast field. Again, it is an ocean of knowledge. Now this is the second phase. Now this is beginning the second phase of your literature review, the finding the literature. Again, you will start with the same concept, reading the highly cited articles, finding highly cited articles in high impact journals. This is cited by 1599, 327, 336, 799, 91, 1539, and blah, blah. Try to find articles with the high citations at any time. Of course, highly cited papers will be older ones in which they will be targeting the fundamentals of that science. Now, after doing that, after downloading like 10 to 20 articles for the fundamentals, now you really want to update your knowledge. The most recent developments, then you go to since 2018. Then you can narrow down your search to since 2021. And after that, 2022. So this is how actually you are narrowing down your research. You are narrowing down according to the timeline, starting from the oldest one for the fundamentals to the most recent ones for the recent developments, and considering the citation index, citation of that paper, and of course the impact factor of that paper. So ultimately, but again, this polymeric scaffold, you will find that polymeric scaffold is again it's a broader field. You can do one thing again. You can add even review. Add the word review for this polymeric scaffolds now. For this polymeric scaffolds. And you will find various search or various review articles for this particular, like if you look at the top, recent advances in polymer scaffolds for biomedical applications. You can download some review articles on this particular polymeric scaffolds to further narrow down your research, because ultimately you have to keep on narrowing yourself until you ultimately arrive at a situation when you are really on a very thin line. You want to find a challenge, a problem in the existing state of knowledge in such a way that you can carry on with the research. You are in a position to contribute something new in that field, of course considering the research facilities at your institution, the expertise of your supervisors, and all those collaborations, what kind of research you can do. According to that, you can narrow down your research. So you can spend some time in reading review articles over here, but again, there is no hard and fast rule. It is up to you how extensive and comprehensive literature review you can perform, how much time you can spend, what are your expected outcomes, what are your goals in your research. Do you want to just pass your thesis? You just want to pass your thesis, then maybe you don't need to read any review or research articles. You can just do like most of the people in Pakistan are doing. But I'm telling you the international standards of research, the international standardized protocols, and how should be moving forward with the technical review, the literature review of the articles. Again, you have to narrow down your research. For example, I find out that I should be narrowing down by putting natural polymers. I want to use natural polymers. I want to move my research towards natural polymeric scaffolds. Again, find the papers in the same way as I told you earlier. You want to further narrow it down. You want to include magnetic particles into the system, do it. You want to include graphene, do it. Keep finding papers. Keep finding papers. And as you told, again, I have put so much words in the Google Scholar, but again, it is showing me 4,640 articles. So it is up to you how deeper you want to go into the field, into this research. Now, after doing that, like for MS, I would recommend you must at least be reading more than 100 research articles, more than 100 research articles for MPhil, and more than 200 research articles for PhD to publish really nice research papers in high impact journals. This is what I recommend, but it is up to you how much you can go. So I hope it helps you in finding the papers. Now, coming back to my slides, I just told you everything over here. So yeah, okay. There is another problem that how to download these papers. In public sector universities, if you are from the public sector universities, you are providing facility from the HEC that within that university domain, internet domain, you can download most of the times, 99% times you shall be able to download any paper that you want. But if you are in a private university, this access is very limited. Again, there are certain ways, there are some ways that you can download research articles for free. And the one way is that you just put the title of that research article into the Google and put a word ResearchGate, and then the title of that paper. And now ResearchGate is a social media website. It is like, you may call it like a Facebook of researchers. It's a Facebook of scientists and academicians. So each and every scientist, each and every researcher wants great citations. They want to increase their citations of their papers, and to increase their citations, it means they want more and more people to read their papers. And so they always try to give easy access of their papers to the readers, to the students, to the scholars. So they always prefer to put the PDF files of the research articles on ResearchGate, even on their university groups, their web pages of their university groups. So I've seen it myself that more than 90% of the people, the researchers and scientists, more than 90% of them, they put the PDF files of the research papers on ResearchGate. So you should be having a ResearchGate account. You can just put it in Google, or you can directly go to the ResearchGate and find that author, or find put in the search, and you will find the paper. And if the paper is not available over there, you can put a button and it is the request article. You will put the button of the request article over there, and the request will be generated to that author. And most of the times I've seen immediately, as soon as possible, they send back you the link, or they actually upload their PDF file and you can download it. Another way is there are certain groups on Facebook and social media. For example, the one that you are looking on the screen, it is by the name of Research Articles, Books and Literature. If you are on Facebook, you can join this group, and all you have to do is, whenever you want to find a paper, just put this kind of query over here. Hi there, I'm looking for the following articles. You will give the information of this article, you will give your email address, and within hours, like in this case, this article was sent in 2 hours. That person shall be sending you that article via email or via the Facebook Messenger. I have done it myself and it has been successful. It works actually. So if somebody doesn't respond, then every research article has a corresponding email address, the email address of the corresponding author. You write an email and request for the article, and believe me, I believe more than 90% of the times you will get the reply within 12 hours with the link or with the PDF file, because every writer, every author, every scientist in the world, they really love it when you request them a research article. Even it's myself, I love it when somebody asks me for my research article. And so, and meanwhile, you can also find, you can also use Google Scholar to find the different scientists. If you're following some particular person, some particular scientist, researcher, and you want to see all the list of research articles, you can just put the name over here. For example, if you put my name, Saklan A. Shah, it will appear as, you can just click my name over here, for example, and here you will see the list of articles. By default, it will be ordered in the citations. Highly cited articles shall be at the top, and so it shall be in a descending order. So you can find articles if you want, if you like certain researchers, particular researchers, you can find their articles. You can download them according to citations, or you can just click on the year, and this should be providing you the most recent articles published, like you are seeing on my screen. You can also find their citation index, their total citations, and each index, and all the information you can find it over here. So now, for example, you are a PhD student and you have created a library of 100 articles. You have downloaded 100 articles. How to read them? Now, this is very important. This is very tricky. You know, in your career, during your PhD and MS, you will find your article being read several times. You should be reading one article 3 to 4 to 5 times in your career, because a research article has different sections. It has a title, it has abstract, introduction, materials and methods, results and discussions, and conclusions. Every time you should be reading your article with a different perspective, with a different focus, that what you want to obtain, what you want to acquire from the research article. For example, once you have decided your research area, that you want to pursue your research in the natural or the synthetic polymeric bioscaffolds of bone tissue engineering, and you have downloaded 100 papers, and of course there are different ways to read articles. The first phase is in which you should be scrutinizing, actually picking up the most relevant ones, because you will find that some of those articles shall be irrelevant for you. For example, if there is an article that deals with the computer modeling or simulations, and you don't plan to pursue your research into that field, you will just putting a state delete on that article. You don't want to waste your time on reading the junk materials. You will read those articles, only those articles which are very, very relevant to your research, to your particular field. So the first way to pick up the relevant articles is look at the title. Title is relevant. Okay, read the abstract, read the abstract. After reading the abstract, you will determine that yes, whether you should read this article or not. And then you can take a look at the pictures on the graphs, on the different figures. It will take you like 4 to 5 minutes to decide whether this article should be kept in your hard drive or it should be deleted. If you don't want this, straightforward delete it. You don't want it. Don't waste your time. So after some time, after you have downloaded 100 articles, and after doing this this way, you are narrowing down it, and ultimately you have deleted 25 articles, and now you left with 75 articles. Now the next stage is understanding the fundamentals of the science, fundamentals of that particular science. You shall be starting with introduction. The introduction of any research article deals with two things: the fundamental science, the basic knowledge, the basic science, and number two, a brief literature review. The brief literature review of all the developments that have taken place in that narrow research area. So you should be dealing with introduction, understanding the fundamental concepts and what the most recent contributions, and then you should be actually taking some notes. You should be underlining the important things, important lines, important paragraphs, important scientific facts. Always remember, from the day one, you have to read articles in a way by keeping in mind that tomorrow when you should be writing your own research paper, you should be using the jargon, the technical language, the academic language of that kind of article that you read. So when you are writing, you will not be writing in your desi language, in your desi style. You should be writing in a technical language, in an academic way. And you should be borrowing the language from these research articles. You have to underline the important phrases, the important sentences, important paragraphs, important information. Any information that you think shall be helpful for you, then you should be writing your own research paper tomorrow, after a few months. So start highlighting, start underlining stuff. Like if you look at this, if you look at my screen, like I've highlighted and edited myself, this paragraph that I've underlined, it deals with the proton transfer from hydrophosphates to H2O and the spin inversion, blah, blah. And the next one is magnetic moment size and super paramagnetism. So as I told you, you shall find very precise information about the fundamental science. This paragraph deals with the in vitro studies. This also deals with the in vitro studies. And so this paragraph deals with the Fe3O4, their magnetic behavior. So later on, tomorrow, when shall be, and then after doing that, you should be putting that information. This is what I do, and I always teach my students to do in this way. I shall be converging all those notes at the top of my research article, so that at the end of 6 months or 7 months, when I've conducted my research and I'm writing my own research paper, and I know that there was some paper in which there was the information about super paramagnetism of Fe3O4. I am sure I read that paragraphs in some papers, but I don't know how to scan all those 100 papers again. Would you read 100 pages again? No, you won't. You won't have any time for that. So what you will do, if you have created this type of notes, all you have to do is just keep scrolling across these different papers, and at the top you should be writing like in this particular case, in this particular article, I mentioned over here that this deals with the introduction, effect of magnetic field of Fe3O4 on nucleation, slide size, bioactivity, proton transfer, spin inversion, super paramagnetism. It deals with X-ray diffraction, FTIR, in vitro details, what are mesopores, how the how the carbonates CO3 minus 2 ion substitution reactions proceed. So this is the key information of this research article. So whenever I want the jargon, the knowledge, the technical information, when I want to borrow that technical language from already published paper, when I want to borrow some language from knowledge for some super paramagnetism, I shall be straight coming to this research article, and I shall be scrolling it down and going straight to that particular portion, to that paragraph that I wanted to use. So again, coming back to the introduction. The first phase is introduction. You shall be reading the introduction of all or some of your research articles. It depends entirely upon you to understand the fundamentals and the most recent developments. Now, after doing that, the next phase will be your experimentation. Of course, you want to conduct some experiments in your chemistry, in your biology, in your physics. For that, you want some information about your uh, materials and methods, your design, what will be your experimental design, how shall you be conducting the experiments, what will be their parameters. The next phase will be now, as I told you earlier, that you should be reading one research article for different perspectives with the passage of time. The first one was introduction to understand the fundamental knowledge and to get yourself updated with the most recent knowledge. And the next phase will be your materials and methods, your designs. How should you be proceeding with the experiments? You shall again read some or all those articles for your materials and methods. Now that will be time that you should be focusing on your research proposal, your synopsis, and you should be tailoring your experimental design according to your proposal and synopsis. And now you shall be carrying out your experiments. You are carrying out your experiments, you are acquiring data, you are performing X-ray diffraction, scan electron microscope, and there are different various, maybe you're doing some computer simulations, you're acquiring data. Acquiring data, no. After that, once you have acquired all the data, the next step, and that's very important step, that is the data analysis. Data analysis and discussions. Now, always remember one thing, that we always talk about high impact journals and high impact papers. Where does this high impact concept come from? It comes from the novelty, the knowledge that you are creating, in which you are actually justifying the data. You have acquired some data. Anybody can acquire data. Data acquisition is not that important. That is not so sophisticated. It is important, but unless you actually create science, you generate some new knowledge from that data. That data is just a collection of data. That's nothing more than graphs and the statistics. That's it. To improve, to generate new knowledge, you must be able to analyze that data, to extract some new science out of data, to justify your results. For example, if there's a curve that is going steep, that is going straight up, then it suddenly falls down, and then it again goes up. You have to explain at the electronic level, at the molecular level, what is the reason at electronic and molecular level that this graph is behaving in this way. I'm just giving you one example. I'm just trying to tell you that data acquisition is important, but the thing that makes your impact, the thing that will build the impact of your research, that is how you analyze that data, how you interpret that data, how you find, how you extract the scientific information, and actually how you generate new knowledge, how you generate new theories out of your data. And for that, you should be going to the section results and discussions of a paper. Results, sometimes it is research, results is a separate section, and the discussions is a separate section. It depends on different journals, and sometimes results and discussions are merged into one section, so in which you shall present results and then discuss those results. Discussion means interpretation of those results. So at this stage, once you have acquired your data, now it is time to analyze your data, to extract new information, to generate new knowledge. And for that purpose, you shall be now again reading those research articles again and focusing on the discussion section, on the analysis section of those research articles. You shall understand the jargon, the technical language, how they are presenting the electronic and molecule level reactions, the science at the atomic level, at the electronic level, at the fundamental level. You should borrow, you should understand that jargon, and you should try to create, to try to inculcate that kind of jargon into your own writing style. This is how, and ultimately when you do it, when you interpret your own data, congratulations, you have really created your own research article that must be having a high impact, and that should be ready for submission. So yeah, Now, as I told you, when you open a research article, this is the sequence: title, abstract, introduction, materials and methods, results, discussions and conclusions, and then followed by the bibliography or the introduction. But this is not how you write your own research article. So now I assume after this at this moment, I assume that you have completed your research, your literature review. You have performed all your experiments according to the knowledge that you acquired from the previous literature. You acquired your data, you analyzed your data. Now you are ready to write up your articles. Just remember, writing your own research paper starts from the information that you are very comfortable with. You will start writing those parts of the paper that you are already very comfortable with. And what is that? That is materials and methods. In other words, the experimental part of the research article, that is the thing that, since you have already performed it in your lab and you are very used to it and it is on your fingertips, start writing the first section, that is materials and methods. This is what most of people and I myself do. We always start writing materials and methods. That comes first. After doing that, next easiest thing available to you is the results. You start writing your results. Once you have written your results, the next section that I prefer writing is introduction. Now I write introduction, and now after putting all those results, or after results, you can also include discussions. It is also okay. There is no hard and fast rule. It entirely depends on you if you want to pursue discussions after results. But after that, after doing even discussions, now you come to the introduction, and now it is the time to relate the previous research with your current research. Now you will tell a detailed account of what have happened before in that particular area, the most recent and old developments. What was the fundamental concept? You related with the previous contributions from different scientists. And after that, in the last paragraph of the introduction, you should be telling how the previous research is connected with your current research. So you shall be transitioning from the previous knowledge to the current knowledge that you have generated. After doing introduction, writing your introduction, you should be going to the conclusions. What were the conclusions that you have to draw? And after conclusions, and conclusions mostly deal with the qualitative analysis, the qualitative conclusions. And after doing that, at the end, you write abstract. Abstract is written at the end. Abstract is the most important part of a research article because it is the one that should be read by your editor. Then an editor shall decide whether this article should be forwarded to the reviewers or not, or sent back to the author. The reviewers shall be reading the abstract and they will decide, they will make up their mind that they should carry on with it. And when it is published, abstract is the thing that the readers, the scholars, the students should be reading. So abstract should be finely polished, with the excellent jargon. And after abstract, you write the title at the end. आखिरी चीज जो आप करते हैं, you build a title, a very precise, a very concise, a beautiful title, an attractive title. So I think that is end from my side. Now, if you have any questions, I have tried to explain everything in detail, but still, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, sir. We do have one question by Mr. Daniel Sabzwari. He is asking, to analyze the data, should the procedure be unique or must need to follow some standards?
See, it depends entirely on your what kind of research are you doing. You know, the data acquisition, the data creation itself is a vast field, and sometimes there are certain research areas in which creating data, generating data itself becomes novelty. I mean, you have developed some new experimental methodology in which you are introducing a new way to introduce data, new way to acquire data. Then it will become something novel. It will become high impact if you are able to justify in your discussions section that you have really created some new knowledge. Of course, there are certain, it actually depends on different fields and different research areas. Physics, chemistry, biology, statistics, mathematics, each and every research area, research field has its own, different attitudes. It has their own different dynamics. So it entirely depends on what kind of research you are pursuing. Of course, you have to follow certain standard protocols, particularly in health sciences. You have to follow certain international standards, protocols, and ethics to that acquisition of data. But again, it depends on how you are presenting your research. If you want to introduce some new standards, you want to develop some new standards, you are welcome for that. And if you can justify that your new standard that you are setting now, they make sense, and they shall be contributing the technological advancement of that field, you are welcome, you can do that.
Saklan, we have lots of compliments. We have lots of compliments on your session, and I think the expose was in detail. A short answer to the previous question is that you do not analyze the data on basis of a different model. You analyze, like Saklan said, on the basis of your requirement and your research methodology. So it has to suit your research framework and your data as how you analyze it and what is the purpose of your research. And so your data analysis will be accordingly. I do not see any more questions. And I think you have covered all the things that all the components of a good research writing and writing models. There isn't enough to be said for the proper academic language of your discipline. There's an academic writing model that is available if you want to look it up on the net. It is a different, you don't write as a casual approach, but you write it. Academic writing is different to creative writing and so on. So I think that is also a key. I don't see any other questions except excellent or a very good session. Or Anish, you have not launched the poll. Please do. And could you please take a minute to fill up this form so that we have your feedback? Ji Saklan, you got to be a professor, and I never got to sort of compliment you on your promotion. We are very happy to hear that news, well deserved. And I think you are the most very busy in your writing. You publish a lot. How many papers have you published so far?
Yeah, I have more than 45.
Oh my God, I know, because there was a time when I was like, every year you had a couple of papers coming out. So there is a model, and it's possible with a very heavy teaching and a workload. And all of us can aspire.
I also help people writing the research articles. Actually, I'm a certified scientific academic editor and proofreader. I've certifications from international universities, and I also do freelancing. And I'm working with 2 Chinese companies. One of them is medicine, and other is material science. And Chinese and South Asians, top journals, they always want their articles to be reviewed and written by the native speakers. And China and South Asians and Arabs, they are not native speakers, and so they have their own Desi language, Desi English. So what I do is I convert that Desi English into American English. So I'm also a certified editor and proofreader, and I'm always active in this field, and I will learn new things.
So there, for all of you attending the session right now, you know where to go if you have trouble and you want proofreading for your article before you get it published. I see that very few of you have, 42 out of 63 so far, have filled the poll. There were 70 of you. Seems some of you have dropped out. We will keep it on for another minute, and then we'll say goodbye. Please do fill in the poll. I do see that there's somebody who says that it was neutral, but most of you are saying that you are highly satisfied and that you have learned something new at this session, and that's a remarkable thing. So 42 out of 42, we do not see any more coming in. So we'll end the poll. and share the results with you. I hope you can see it. There goes your evaluation right on the dot, Siklan.
Thank you so much. ma'am.
I'm sure
That's
you
very
can see it,
encouraging.
and it's an excellent,
Thank you so much.
high satisfaction and learning something new. And those are two important things in our polling. So we'll bid you goodbye. Thank you, Anish, for conducting a very good session.
There
And-
are two questions. Is
Ji.
it okay if I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead. I think it's
So-
ideal if there are questions.
Miss Anila Khan from non-FCCU, she's asking, how is the process of publishing the paper or article? She's asking about the publication process.
What is the process of publishing the paper or article? See, as I told you, you conduct your literature review, you perform your studies, acquire data analysis, you create a research article according to a journal requirement. Now it depends on you.
Yeah.
You already understand, you already know that what is the value of your research. You already know what is the value of research. So you decide with the help of your supervisors and friends. You first of all you would decide in which journal you are sending your paper. Then you go to that journal website. You go to the instructions for authors. There's always a section in that website. In every journal there is a section for that, and there is instructions for authors. You go, you find it, you read it, and format your article according to those instructions. You know, font size and headings and all those margins, etc., and what shall be the referencing style. And I shall recommend you, all of you, to always use some reference management tool. Always use a reference management tool for that, because you know every journal has a unique, a different citations format. And for example, most likely your first article shall be rejected because you are starting it from the high impact, on the hope, on the expectation that शायद तुक्का लग जाए और मेरा आर्टिकल अच्छे जर्नल में चला जाए. You send it, and most probably if it is rejected, now you have to find a low impact journal relatively, and you will send you will now tailor your article according to the new journal. And now you will see that their formatting, their journal, their referencing citation style is entirely different. So one way is that you आप उसकी ज़ेरे ज़मीन बैठ के ठीक करेंगे. जैसे my name is S.A. Shah, तो एक जर्नल जो है वो कहेगा कि इसको लिखो सकलैन ए शाह, दूसरा कहेगा नो राइट इट एस ए शाह, थर्ड वन विल से राइट एस डॉट ए डॉट शाह, fourth one will say write Shah, then S dot A, then comma. So you know each and every journal has its own unique format for referencing. And after every rejection, if you start doing it, or आपको ये करना पड़ेगा, that is such a big headache, you have absolutely no idea. So always use a reference management tool. और अगर मुझे कभी कहा जाए तो I can even do another session on reference management tool. And I personally use Zotero and EndNote. These are my favorite ones. कि हम we will actually embed all those citation references into these Zotero software. We embed them into the Microsoft Word, and all after the file is created, all we have to do is we will just click the button and it will reformat our entire manuscript according to the new journal format. So always do that. It will save you from a lot of नॉनसेंस से आप बच जाएंगे, ज़ेरे अपने ठीक करने से आप बच जाएंगे. और उसके बाद आप यू हैव टू फॉर्मेट योर आर्टिकल अकॉर्डिंग टू द जर्नल, और अल्लाह का नाम लेके भेज दो आप उसके अंदर, सेंड इट टू द जर्नल. देयर आर ऑनलाइन सबमिशन सिस्टम्स, हर जर्नल का अपना ऑनलाइन सबमिशन सिस्टम है. यू विल सेंड इट, इट विल गो टू द एडिटर इसको देखेगा कि क्या इसको आगे भेजना चाहिए, वेदर इट इज मैचेस विद द जर्नल रिसर्च एरिया. If it doesn't match, they will send you back, and they may be suggesting you an alternate journal. Otherwise they will say sorry. And if it meets those requirements, that article shall be sent to the reviewers, for the international scientific reviewers, to the experts, 2 to 3 reviewers, and then they will take maybe 15 days to a couple of months, and they shall be sending the report to you. And now they may be suggesting some revisions, some minor revisions, some major revisions. They may state reject your article, they may state accept your article. It depends on the reviewers. I'm also a reviewer of various journals. Every researcher is, and later on at some stage you will also be a reviewer of some journal. So this is the way that you can go for publishing. What next question?
Thank you so much, Dr. Saklan. Dr. Khan, if you're speaking, your mic is on mute.
Yeah, I know that.
There's a question that how can we manage the
Yeah.
APC as most of the
Yeah.
index journals have very high APC. Let me tell you, believe me, the most reputed journals in ACS, in Royal Society, in Institute of Physics, in Springer, in elsewhere, highly reputed journals, they are free of cost. And most of the times, the journals that require APC, they are mostly fishy. Most of the times, they're indicators, they're parameters. Not all of the times, mostly we have seen that they are fishy. It makes them suspicious because the concept is give them APC, like, and it can be from $2,000 to $3,400. And today, the dollar is on this day today, it is 226 in the open market. So, and you will find it in Arabs most of the times, in Arabian countries who are desperate for Arabian professors from Saudi Arabia and UAE, some third world, from these Chinese, they are desperate for research articles, and what they do, they talk to some Pakistani authors, and they ask for that we will pay your APC $2,000, $3,000, and put our name as the first author, put our name in the last author, or as a corresponding author. So it is up to you how you want. Some people even sell their research articles to these people. So it entirely depends on you that you should be following, of course, research ethics and international standards. APC should not be a problem if you are doing a quality research. But if your research is fishy and you know that your research article should not be published in some regular journal, in a good journal, then yeah, you can go for APC and you can contact some Arab professors maybe, and they shall be helping you in that. Yeah.
It is very funny when you talked of journals that don't require publication costs. Could you please put up a list of those journals? And is there a site which lists those journals in, and they're quality journals, not like, but I think lots of online open access like Springer and Elsevier and many others do offer journals that do not charge. Do you have
open access? Open access is something else.
I know it is something
this
else,
APC
but you don't
is
charge. Okay.
APC is publishing fee. That
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is
many
publishing
open
fee that gives
access do not charge a
$3,000.
fee. Yeah.
Your article is published by giving some cost, and it goes through a review process, and but the review process is really not that strong, not that tough. But in regular journals, you are given two options. In a regular journal, when your article is accepted without any APC, now it is your choice that whether you want to make it a paid article or an open access article. So, some people choose for open access article because open access means it has a greater accessibility for the people. It naturally attracts more readership and more citations. So those scientists who are really worried, who are really concerned about their citations, and they have no problem of the money, they have already funding from some funding source, they publish their articles in open access also. But for me, for our common people, we do go for open access because we cannot afford it.
Yeah. Do you have a list somewhere, a site which lists journals that don't charge a publishing fee?
Most of the journals don't charge. If you go to Elsevier and Springer and ASC and RSC and IOP, the branded journals, they don't require. Most of the time, I'm telling you, there are some nice journals even. There are some very good journals who charge APC, but most of the time, 90% of the times, good journals, they do not require a fee because they are concerned about quality and novelty than the APC.
Yeah, I think there was another question. There was a request that why don't you do some sessions on Zotero and EndNote, for your references. So Anish, could you please note that down? And whenever we have time, we'll hopefully get back to Saklan and then send out an invite to all our partners all across Pakistan. I think a lot of them registered for this session. I think nearly 800, and all will require materials, and we could always send them the information again about the sessions that we do. I didn't understand a question by Maida Bajwa, how to obtain insight into the journal if inflation. I mean, I really don't understand. Could you please?
I think she may be, I don't know what she's asking, but if you want to find the impact factor of a journal, you just go to that website, open the website, and you shall see at the top on the page. You will find the impact factor at the top.
Can I add something to it?
Yeah.
Sure, ma'am.
Actually, the question is the impact factor thing you were already focusing on. Sometimes the journal do inflate the impact factors by self-citing boosts, by citing the articles that are not actually articles but letters to editorials. This is something that good journals are doing. So how can we identify that thing? Since you were focusing on the impact factor thing, the guy Eugene, I believe, who himself introduced the citation concept, impact factor, he said that one time will come when impact factor thing is going to be misused, and this is being done in this ratio, in this term that I'm stating.
Ma'am, could you repeat this question, because I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't understand either.
You can ask the
Sometimes
question again.
Okay, sometimes the good journals, what they are doing is they inflate their impact factor by self-citing themselves, by requesting the editors, by publishing more than the usual count. Sometimes maybe they might affecting the quality of the paper. Sometimes they might be counting the non-articles like editors, letter to editors, and that enhances their impact factor. But this is not the right thing.
I don't
How do
think
you identify
I
that?
don't think that works in that particular way, because the impact
No,
factor.
it does happen. This is a stated thing.
The
There are
impact
articles
factor
about
is
that.
decided. There are certain international agencies, and there are certain, you might have heard the word Scopus, ISI Web of Knowledge. There are certain systems that are in place internationally, who actually decide the impact factor based on the on the citations per unit per journal, per article. Citations per every citation per article is actually the impact factor. So particularly if the journal is good one, the reputed journals, I don't think they need to inflate their impact factors. If some journals do that, they are not the good journals, and they are some new journals, some fishy journals. There are some journals in India and some in Iran. We have seen that after 1 year of their introduction, after 1 year of the launch of the journal, their impact factor rose to 1.5 and 2. So naturally, when you look at the history of a journal, you actually see that what is the publishing company that is dealing with that journal. Like Elsevier is a reputed company, Springer is a reputed company, JSTOR, American Chemical Society, Royal Society of Chemistry, American Institute of Physics, IOP. You can just understand just by looking at the website even which publishing company is publishing this journal, and so I think this should be no problem. And even if you look that it is there's some problem in that, you don't worry about that. You can, if you find that some journal is not good, you can send your journal your article to some good journal. There are thousands. So how do they manipulate their impact factors? We being authors have nothing to do with it. We must not be worried about that.
Very interesting question. Anish, you have muted me, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. If an article is published in an impact factor journal, but after 1 year the journal is removed from the list, would that time period be counted, relevant in addition of a research article? I mean, would it be counted?
See, the impact factor keeps on updating. Sometimes it increases, sometimes it decreases. It keeps on changing. Now it depends on you that for what purpose you are using that impact factor. If you want to use impact factor for your promotion for today, then for example, some journal, your paper, some journal XYZ had an impact factor of 5 in 2015, and you applied for promotion in 2016, it must have been counted over there. But if you want to apply, you want to use that article for today in 2022, and then its impact factor has come down to 1, that it will be counted as 1, not as 5 that was in 2015. So it depends on what stage you are using. You want to use, or for example, you want to apply for some promotion or for some benefits retrospectively in the past, by proving it that in 2015 I should be given increments, and at that time you meet the criteria of university for impact factor, then at that time your impact factor should be counted 5. But if you want to use your impact factor for today to get some incentives today, then it must not be used, and you should be given according to the one. If it is whatever is the current impact factor, you should be given for one. Yeah.
I thought, Aisha, that answers your question, right? Because you talked about promotion and you can get it. And so we keep on getting the response. Impressive session. Thank you. We are a bit beyond our time, which is not an issue at all. If there are any more questions, I do not see any more. Anish, have we missed any questions?
No, we have covered
No.
all the questions.
Okay, and it was a great session, Saklan, as always.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
And it's always a delight to have you with us. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you,
you so much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.